You know, we often look at professional athletes like they're superhuman, but when they're off the track or off the field, they face the same tough challenges as the rest of us. Today, we're going to talk about NASCAR's Denny Hamlin, who is facing an absolutely unimaginable tragedy that happened this offseason.
And that really brings us to the core question here. It's something we can all think about. When the worst happens, how do you find it in you to keep going? It's a story about loss, but also about resilience and that drive to push forward when it feels like your world is falling apart.
So for a while, things were quiet, and you can totally understand why. But now, the Joe Gibbs Racing veteran, Denny Hamlin, has opened up. He's sharing an update on his family, how he's doing, and what this all means for his future in racing. And you have to remember, this all went down during an off-season that was already pretty tough for the NASCAR world. So when this tragedy hit one of their own, it just felt especially heavy for the entire community.
So what exactly happened? Well, let's get into the details, and honestly, they're just devastating. This struck right at the very heart of Hamlin's support system.
The incident was a horrible house fire. It completely engulfed the home of his parents, Dennis and Mary Lou Hamlin. I mean, these are the people who have been in his corner from day one.
And just the worst possible outcome. Denny lost his father, Dennis Hamlin, in that fire. For anyone who follows NASCAR, Dennis was such a familiar face. He was known for being his son's #1 fan, always passionate, always supportive. It was just a heartbreaking loss.
And to make it already awful situation even worse, his mother, Mary Lou, was severely injured. She survived, which is a miracle, but she was hospitalized and is now facing this incredibly long and difficult road to recovery.
So in the middle of all this loss and this ongoing crisis, the focus of course shifted to how are they doing? How are Denny and his mother even beginning to cope with the immense physical and emotional weight of all this?
When he was asked how he was doing, Hamlin's response was just so raw and honest. He said, "I'm okay as to be expected." Man, there's a whole world of pain packed into those few words, right? It's like he's saying that okay just doesn't mean what it used to mean.
And about his mother's recovery, he shared this. She has good days, bad days, but is getting better. You can just feel the grind of that process. It's not just about healing from the physical injuries, but the unbelievable emotional trauma of losing her husband. Okay, so with everything going on in his personal life, it naturally made everyone wonder about his career. I mean, how do you even think about getting back in a race car when your world has been completely turned upside down? The big question on everyone's mind was, is he going to race in 2026? You know, would he take a year off? Would he maybe even just hang it up for good to be with his family? And honestly, nobody would have blamed him if he did.
And Hamlin admitted he thought about everything. He considered all the options. But his decision came down to this really powerful statement. "I made a promise to Joe and the Gibbs family." Wow. So that loyalty, that promise he made to the team that's been with him his whole career, that became his anchor.
And here's what's really fascinating. His whole mindset about getting back in the car. He doesn't see it as this huge, difficult thing he has to do. He actually thinks that once he gets back into that routine, that rhythm of racing, that it's going to be good for him, almost like a kind of therapy.
So Hamlin is coming back to the track, but you can bet it's different now. He's not just racing for points or for another trophy. His entire mission has a new, deeply personal layer of meaning. You see this number, 60? It's a huge deal in the story. This was for his 60th career Cup win. At the time, his dad was already sick, and Denny movingly dedicated that victory to him. It was almost like a preview of the motivation that's completely consuming him now. For decades, one of the biggest things that's pushed Denny Hamlin has been this desire to win a Cup Series championship for his dad. It's the one major thing that's always been just out of reach for him, and now that ambition has been transformed into a tribute. And you know what? The timing might just be perfect. The 2026 season is bringing back an older championship format that rewards consistency over the entire year, not just a final race shootout. And that style of racing plays right into Hamlin's strengths. This could be his clearest shot at finally grabbing that title. And that leaves us with the ultimate question as we head into the new season, right? Can one of NASCAR's greatest drivers take the deepest pain of his life and turn it into the fuel for his greatest triumph? We are all going to be watching to find out.